Oxford, England. For over 1,000 years, this city has stood at the crossroads of power, knowledge, and rebellion. Kings have made it their capital and fought for its control. Students have debated in its halls, while wars raged outside its walls. This is a place where the future of England was decided, where minds were shaped that would change the world, and where ordinary people fought, survived, and built something that would outlast empires. Today, using advanced AI techniques, we can transform centuries-old engravings and faded photographs into vivid, lifelike scenes, bringing Oxford's remarkable past to life in ways never before possible. We're going to walk through every century of this city's existence, from a muddy river crossing to one of the most famous cities on Earth. You'll see triumph and tragedy, genius and brutality, plague and rebirth. This is the complete story of Oxford. Let's begin at the beginning. Not many people know this, but Oxford's story actually begins before the Saxons. Archaeological evidence reveals a small Roman settlement here, including a kiln and pottery workshops. In 2003, excavations unearthed a Roman pot dating to around 100 AD, proof that people were living and working on this site nearly 2,000 years ago. But the Romans never built anything significant here. They came, they made their pottery, and they left. The real story of Oxford begins with the Saxons. The name Oxford means exactly what you think, a ford where oxen crossed. Around the 8th century, Saxon settlers needed a way to get their livestock across the Thames, and they find a shallow point near where two rivers meet, the Thames, known locally as the Isis, and the Cherwell, close to what's now Folly Bridge. It's practical, nothing more. A few houses appear, then a few more. The place becomes known as Oxen Afforda in the Saxon tongue, but Oxford's spiritual foundation comes from a Saxon princess named Friedzwide. According to legend, around 727 AD, Friedzwide is a young noblewoman who refuses marriage to a local king, choosing instead to dedicate her life to God. She establishes a small monastery here, building a church on the site where Christ Church Cathedral stands today. Whether all the legends about her are true doesn't really matter. What matters is that her church becomes Oxford's first significant religious building, and Friedzwide herself becomes the city's patron saint. The priory she founds will stand for centuries. By 911, things start to get serious. England is being carved up by Viking invaders, and Edward the Elder, King of Wessex, recognizes that this river crossing has strategic value. He builds fortifications here, transforming a simple ford into a fortified town. Oxford becomes part of a defensive network, protecting Wessex from Danish attack. The town sits on the border between Saxon and Viking territory, and that tension defines its early years. In 1002, something horrific happens. King Ethelred the Unready orders what becomes known as the St. Brice's Day Massacre. On November 13th, Saxons across England are commanded to kill all Danish settlers in their midst. In Oxford, terrified Danes flee to St. Friedeswide's church, seeking sanctuary. The locals bar the doors and set the building on fire. Everyone inside burns to death. Among the dead is Gunhild, sister of Sweyn Forkbeard, the King of Denmark. This single act of violence ensures that Sweyn will return with a massive army to exact revenge. But Oxford survives, and as the 11th century approaches, this rough border town is about to be caught in the greatest invasion England will ever face. 1066 arrives, and with it, William the Conqueror. Oxford submits to William without a fight, but submission doesn't mean trust. Within 2 years, William orders the construction of Oxford Castle, a massive stone fortress designed to intimidate the population and control the surrounding territory. Robert D'Oyley, one of William's most trusted knights, oversees the building. The message is clear: Norman power is here to stay. The castle includes St. George's Tower, which still stands today. It's not ornamental, it's a weapon, a symbol of occupation in stone. The Normans confiscate Saxon properties, redistribute land, and impose their language and laws on a resentful population. But something unexpected begins to grow in Oxford's shadow. By the early 12th century, scholars start gathering here. No one knows exactly when formal teaching begins, but by the 1120s, there are documented lectures taking place. Why Oxford? Partly because it's centrally located, partly because it sits at a crossroads, and partly because the church is powerful here. In 1133, Osney Abbey is founded just outside the town, adding to Oxford's growing reputation as a centre of religious learning. Then, civil war. In 1141, England tears itself apart in a conflict known as the Anarchy, fought between Empress Matilda and King Stephen over who should rule. Oxford becomes a battleground. Matilda seizes Oxford Castle and holds it against Stephen's forces. He lays siege to the castle in the winter of 1142. For 3 months, Matilda's garrison holds out, but eventually the situation becomes desperate. On a December night, with the Thames frozen solid, Matilda and 3 of her knights escape by dressing in white cloaks to blend with the snow. They slip across the frozen river and flee to Wallingford. It's one of the most dramatic escapes in medieval English history, and it happens right here. The next day, Oxford Castle surrenders to Stephen. He takes control of the city, but Matilda herself has slipped through his fingers. The war drags on for another 11 years in a bitter stalemate. Neither side strong enough to defeat the other. Eventually, exhausted by endless fighting, they reach a compromise. Stephen keeps the throne for his lifetime, but Matilda's son, Henry, will inherit it when Stephen dies. Matilda came within a sword's edge of the English crown, but it wasn't to be. England wouldn't have a crowned queen ruling in her own right for another 412 years, until Mary Tudor took the throne in 1553. But even during those years of chaos and siege, scholars had kept coming to Oxford, and now, with peace restored, their numbers swell. The real catalyst comes in 1167. Henry II, furious with France, bans English students from attending the University of Paris. They need somewhere to go, and many choose Oxford. The trickle of scholars becomes a flood. Informal teaching arrangements solidify into something more permanent. Oxford is becoming a university town, though no one uses that word yet. By the late 12th century, Oxford has survived conquest, massacre, siege, and escape, but its most important transformation is only beginning. The 13th century is when Oxford stops being just another town and becomes something unique. Students and scholars are everywhere now, living in lodging houses, attending lectures in rented rooms, and frequently getting into violent brawls with locals. Town and gown tensions run deep. In 1209, a scholar kills a local woman. The townspeople, enraged, hang 2 of his innocent colleagues in retaliation. In protest, many scholars pack up and leave Oxford entirely. Some go to Cambridge, where they establish a rival university. It's a split that will define English academia forever. Oxford's first colleges appear during this century. University College, Balliol, and Merton all claim to be the oldest, each founded in the 1260s and 1270s. These are a new model for education, self-governing communities of scholars with their own rules, their own finances, and their own endowments. The idea is revolutionary. Learning supported by permanent institutions rather than the whims of individual teachers. But Oxford isn't peaceful. In 1248, there's a riot so severe that the university suspends operations entirely. Scholars and townspeople clash repeatedly throughout the century. The violence reflects deeper resentments. Students are often exempt from local laws. They drive up rents. They're rowdy and arrogant. The locals work hard for their living, and they resent these privileged young men treating their town like a playground. By 1284, Merton College establishes the first proper academic structure, with fellows, statutes, and a formal curriculum. Other colleges quickly follow the model. The University of Oxford is no longer just an idea. It's a physical reality, built in stone, and it's changing the character of the entire town. Then, in the 14th century, something comes that's worse than any riot. The 14th century is a time when you definitely wouldn't have wanted to live in Oxford. First, in 1348, the Black Death reaches England. By 1349, it's in Oxford. The plague kills indiscriminately. Scholars, townspeople, monks, merchants. No one is safe. Estimates suggest that between a third and half of Oxford's population dies within months. Entire households are wiped out. Bodies pile up faster than they can be buried. The university nearly collapses from lack of students and teachers. Then, only a few years later, disease turns into violence. February 10th, 1355, St. Scholastica's Day. Two students drinking at the Swindlestock Tavern complain about the quality of the wine. The landlord argues back. Insults fly, then punches, then the students throw their drinks in his face. The situation spirals out of control. For 3 days, Oxford descends into chaos. Townspeople attack scholars with swords and bows. Scholars fight back with whatever they can find. By the time the violence ends, 63 students and 30 townspeople are dead. The aftermath is brutal. King Edward III sides with the university. As punishment, Oxford's mayor and council are forced to attend a mass every year for the dead scholars and pay annual penance. This humiliating ritual continues for 470 years. But Oxford rebuilds. New colleges rise from the ashes. New College is founded in 1379 with a revolutionary architectural plan, and All Souls College follows in 1438, specifically to pray for those killed in the 100 Years' War. The 15th century brings relative stability, but the 16th century brings religious upheaval. Henry VIII breaks with Rome in 1534, and Oxford, so deeply connected to the Catholic Church, is thrown into turmoil. Monasteries are dissolved, relics are destroyed, and scholars are forced to choose sides. The city's religious houses, Osney Abbey, Rewley Abbey, and others, are torn down, their stones repurposed for new buildings. Then, the first Queen of England arrives. Mary I, Bloody Mary, a Catholic queen determined to reverse her father's reforms. In 1555 and 1556, Oxford becomes the site of some of the most infamous executions in English history. 3 men, Thomas Cranmer, the literal Archbishop of Canterbury, Bishop Hugh Latimer, and Bishop Nicholas Ridley, are burned at the stake for heresy in what is now Broad Street. Their deaths are meant to terrify, but instead they inspire. A memorial, the Martyrs' Memorial, will later be erected on the spot where Protestant England remembers its dead. Oxford has survived plague and riot, but now it must survive the violent swings of religious reformation, and the next century will test it like never before. (1642). England is at war with itself. King Charles I and Parliament are locked in a struggle for power, and Oxford finds itself at the centre of the conflict. Charles chooses Oxford as his capital after being driven from London. For 4 years, from 1642 to 1646, Oxford is a royalist stronghold. The king and his court take up residence in Christchurch. Colleges are turned into barracks, ammunition stores, and weapon workshops. The city's beautiful quadrangles echo with the sound